My name is Bria Dickerson, and this is my story. My story begins when I was 6. I grew up in the church. I was in church every Wednesday and Sunday, like a normal childhood Christian child would be. My story started when I was about 9, and I was in a doctor's office, and the doctor came to me and said that you're going to have surgery on your leg, and he told me that you would have to be confined to a wheelchair for about 6 months and physical therapy like 3 days a week. And it was hard knowing that I wasn't going to be a regular child for about 6 months, knowing that I was going to be in a wheelchair and that I couldn't do the normal things that a normal child could do at school and play around and dig around with the other kids. After surgery, when I was 10, I came to the news that my mom and dad were going to get a divorce. And I remember that I was laying in my bed one night, and my mom told me to come downstairs, and I was talking to my dad through Skype, and he was in Texas, and he said that mom and dad are no longer going to be together anymore. And he asked me, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And so I went back upstairs, and I was so confused and in shock that I wasn't know how having divorced parents was going to be like. And now switching houses like every weekend and being with my dad during the summers and stuff like that was hard. And it's still hard now knowing that your parents are divorced, and now that you have more responsibilities, you're not sure whether you want to be with your dad or your mom more, or just sharing opportunities and time with your parents. It's a lot harder than it was when I was younger, but having divorced parents is really hard. When I was in 6th grade, I went to a public school, and that wasn't myself. I was always living up to the expectations of my peers around me, and there was always bad influences, and I was doing stuff and saying stuff I wasn't supposed to be doing. And my parents gave me this packet one day, and I opened it, and it said Redline Christian Academy. And so they told me that I was going to shadow at Redline one day, and I know I didn't want to go at first, but they knew it was for the best. So on my 7th grade year, I went to Redline, and the first day I automatically felt like I was supposed to be here, and that there's a lot of peers and friends around me to encourage me and support in whatever I do. And it's more comforting knowing that I have my friends now that are like sisters to me, and basically that I can go to them whenever I need help and talk to them about whatever. And so it's nice and refreshing knowing that I can be myself here. It's crazy because I would never thought I would have those type of people around me, and this school is just so welcoming and so supportive about anything we do or I do is amazing. When I was in 8th grade, in the middle of the year, I remember I was at a basketball meeting, and my mom walks in. She's not really like the same happy, joyous person you would see her. After the meeting, on the ride home, my mom was telling me that my aunt only has like a week to live, and that she was diagnosed with HIV a long time ago, and that she was living with it, and she wasn't doing the proper stuff to help her live. And so I remember I was going home, and I was packing up my stuff and looking through my drawers, and I was just crying my eyes out, talking to God, just saying, why this and why that, and if I can do this, can you please heal her, and all this stuff. But I kept remembering that, sometimes God does stuff for the better, and that there's always a plan that He has. And so I remember that next day we had a plane ticket to go to St. Louis, where she was, and usually when we go there, we go straight to my grandmom's house, but we went straight to the hospital this time, and I could remember just seeing her in ICU and just so devastating and pale and not like what she usually is, the happy, outgoing person that she is. And I remember I was trying to say hi to her, and she couldn't just not speak. All it was just moans and groans and, not proper speaking or anything like that. So it was hard to take in that, she was going to die. On October 28th, I woke up, and my grandfather took me to the hospital, and when I was there, I could just remember she was having seizure after seizure for like 5 minutes, and I couldn't handle it because I was only 13, so I went to the lobby of the hospital, and I was just crying, and I was still asking God why this and why that. And I remember my mom just standing there. She's like, I know it's hard, but it's for the better. She's going to go to heaven after, so you can see her when you get there. And so that night, I remember we were all standing around her bed, and she was having seizures, and her breath was going slow, and you could just see her struggling. And so that day God took her home, and it was bittersweet, you know. It was not seeing her ever again or not talking to her. It was hard, but knowing that she's in heaven with God is much better news than her being down here. With all this stuff happening in my life, I know that God works in weird and strange ways, but I know that anything He gives me is not too hard to handle in my life. I keep one verse with me, Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope in the future. And with this verse, I know that God is always with me and that there's a reason for everything and anything that happens in my life. My name is Bray Dickerson, and that's my story.